Hello, good evening and welcome. This is the Upfront. Upfront today will take a very keen look at Ghana's transition process in the eyes of one person. We'll also bring you history in the eyes of one person who's lived it all through, a man who's participated in Ghana's engagement for a very long time. In fact, now he is on the international level as a UN special transition expert. We'll be delving into that part of his life too. But more importantly, he's been a special assistant to the president in times past, and we'll call it then now regional minister, but then a regional secretary for the central region. He's been chief of staff to former President Rawlings, who celebrates his 70th birthday today. All of those lenses will be put together, and we actually appreciate Ghana's history from one person's own perspective. I'll be back to tell you about my guest, but we'll cut through the spin and get you the facts on the show too. You're welcome back. My guest today is Nana Dadzie. Nana Dadzie is a household name. I mean, if you're of my age or if you're older or younger, you sure should be able to know the man. Nana, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And we came to Nana Dadzie's office for a brief chat on what's supposed to be the most important things today. We will circle around the issues in a much more appreciable way, giving you an understanding of where we've come as a country. Nana, I hope you're doing well.
Yes, great, doing great.
What have you been up to more recently? I mean, the last time you were consistently on TV and radio was during the Moon 3, what they call it, hearing. Beyond that, you went under the radar for some time now.
Yes, actually, I had to leave the country suddenly in January this year, around the 21st. Came back April 17th or thereafter on a sudden assignment by the United Nations engagement in the Gambia, the Republic of the Gambia. As you recollect, there had been a crisis in the Gambia by reason of the fact that the former head of state, Mr. Yahya Jammeh, would not vacate office even after he had lost. He had come publicly on the 2nd of December 2016 to validate the results, but 4 days later he turned up and said no, he's not going nowhere. And this created political showdown up to the 18th of January. As you recollect, the entire international community was mad with him. And the ECOWAS, particularly heads of states, came together and committed to establishing peace in the country. They set up an intervention force of 7,000 mixed West African soldiers. And they needed a political lineman, of course, and I was appointed through the agents of UNOWAS to, that is the United Nations
Office for West Africa.
West Africa, and I had a direct appointment from the United Nations to be their man in the Gambia, essentially to facilitate the transfer of power from the former government to the new Adama Barrow government.
And when you say facilitate transfer of power, exactly what do you mean?
Yeah, this is a very difficult situation. I mean, only 1 or 2 members of the new government had ever been in government before. In 22 years of Yahya Jammeh, the new team coming didn't know a shred of anything about government and governance. So you can understand they need somebody who will assist them take over power. But more importantly, the whole process of transition is essentially one of accounting and receiving. You understand? I've always said that the best vehicle for delivering transition is a joint transition team, where the outgoing government, the incoming government will meet, will have representatives meet and one will hand over, the other will receive. They can ask questions.
Okay.
And whatnot.
Was there a joint transition team in Gambia?
No, that was a problem.
Because
the German's government had collapsed.
Yeah.
Even before his tenure ran out. And their ministers had all left. They were in various countries and whatnot. Only a few were left, and so it was very difficult. He himself had, fled into exile, and so here was a situation we had to have a transfer of power from nobody to somebody. You understand?
I'm interested in how he did that. But is it true that Mr. Jammeh left the country with millions of dollars?
Well, that is part of the transitional challenges. There were all these stories about Mr. Jammeh having fled with $11 million and all that. The following day, another spokesperson said, no, that's not true. It's also part of the transitional handing over. But one thing I do know is that recently they've passed some directives. They've got a court order, freezing all his assets. And there are a lot of assets indeed.
Oh, okay. In the Gambia?
Yes.
I thought that was part of the arrangement prior to his exit, and I saw the particular communique that communicated the arrangement done to him.
No, my understanding of the communique was that he was keeping some of these assets. But whether the new government accepted that or not, to his exit. But clearly, I mean,
that would be a breach of it.
Yeah, no, I don't think. That's why I'm saying that it is not clear. And the government, the current government, to my knowledge, went to court and got a court order temporary freezing.
And this court order is supposed to supersede the arrangement that was done for him to leave office.
I'm saying that we are yet to know whether indeed there was a clause, like that, which blocked it. But back to the point, I think that essentially the challenge we faced was that there was nobody to hand over to the new government. And our obligation, our duty, we found, was to endeavor to get the old team back into the country, back onto the drawing board.
Without Mr. Jammeh?
Well, we knew Jammeh should obviously could not come back,
So you got some ministers back?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I mean, eventually, through the offices of UN and UNDP, we were able to engage the ministers, and that's another story altogether.
Hold on, let me get that particular another story clarified, because while they came back, were they prosecuted? Because you said some of these were engaged.
Well, you can understand what it is. You can understand it. We see, we did a practical thing to happen. That is to have somebody hand over properly to the new government.
And that was done.
And then how do you do it? You needed the old people. But of course, nobody will come for fear of, being reprisals and all that. But they had to be given, assurances, of safe passage and no molestation. And that is the kind of work I was involved in.
How many German ministers came back? Did you prompt them?
Well, it's one of my real pains, because we met quite a number of them in various places. I can disclose all that. The UN facilitated it. It's a wonderful experience from France, from Senegal, all kinds of places. But this is international politics for you, know. But at the end of the day, indeed, the evening before, I had assurance that only 4 or 5 would turn up.
No, okay.
Thank God, the next day, when we got onto the table, there were 17 out of 19 ministers
who had returned.
And of course, I mean, in a certain atmosphere, but they participated. We were given assurance. Plus the vice president, the former vice president. So it was a full team, really, apart from Jammeh, literally all of them were there. I spoke to those who didn't turn up. One was the former attorney judge. I spoke to her around 1 a.m. or so their time, and she couldn't obviously come.
So transition was a success there?
Yeah, so we had a transitional team, joint transitional team meeting, and like I'm saying, it's one for the history books and biographies, because the challenge of getting a new president coming to sit in a meeting with the old side,
We talk about lessons we can learn from that particular Gambian example, but the continent always seems to have difficulties with smooth transition. It looks like there's the fight, and you end up with a war, so the spoils of a war sometimes dissipated and shared. And we have had so many examples where people have lost elections and they don't want to leave office, which leads to other incidents happening. Do you think that the people are grasping now the idea of transition more importantly?
Yes, I think that it's not only Ghana and Africans who are gradually coming to understand the role of transition. I am an expert in transition. It's through the very hard way. 2001 in Ghana, we had a stalemate.
Yeah.
We didn't have rules or regulations whatsoever. So suddenly we woke up one morning and we had to hand over to Mr. Kufuor or whatnot. What do we do? What's the meaning of handing over? What do we transfer? And it was a little messy. 2008 in Ghana, you remember?
It was a similar
thing. And you see, the whole process to have regulations, rules and regulations and establishment which will take over the process of handing over. In the US, for instance, they had this unsettled situation in many years, hundreds of years, until in 1963, where they passed the Presidential Transition Act, 1963. Okay. You see, and Ghana, in 2012, we passed a law that stabilized it. And you can see the smooth and almost seamless transition in 2016 when Mr. Mahama had to hand over to President Nana Akufo-Addo. But it just happened like that.
But there are blues in that particular transition even today. There are cars that are yet to be retrieved. There are also incidents that, I mean, it was not, what do you call it, a friction-free exercise.
No. We must draw a line between the process of handing over, the inauguration, the handing over government machinery itself. That was so smooth. However, post transition, there were all these challenges of cars and whatnot. They are only incidents of inexperience, and lack of commitment to the rules and regulations of engagement. You understand? Let me tell you a very interesting thing. America has had it since 1963. I told you.
Yeah.
But from 1963 to 2015, they have consistently have either annual or 5-year review of the law.
Okay.
One, to transfer, to enable us transfer. Another law will come to enable us better organize. Another law will come to enable a freer transition. So, for me, this is the first time we are applying law 845, the Presidential Transition Law.
Yeah.
These challenges, for me, the most important thing is that we've gotten over this whole idea, the capability to transfer power from one person to another.
Did it seem an abuse to you? Did it seem like an abuse to you when the outgoing president, few weeks after losing the election, few weeks before exiting office, was still making appointments? For example, at Kokobo, they were giving contracts and doing other things. Many on the other side said it breached the conscience with which we set up this transition engagement.
Yeah, I intend writing on it or speaking to this issue maybe later on, but it's unfortunate. It's an issue of the substance of the transition process, how effective it is. First of all, you need an institution.
But there was an institution doing the transition.
No, it wasn't ready. Really, that office of...
They were not resourced properly. Yeah.
We were not properly resourced. They were not really ready. I can tell you more about that. Then the law had been there, but it was the first time we were applying the law, and that is it. You see, within a Presidential Transition Act itself, there are a lot of remedies to a lot of what was the irregularities happening.
So what was the remedy to making last-minute appointments?
Yes. First of all, a government has a tenure, you see, until the last day, you cannot say that it's not in office. You understand?
But the agreement was that even if you go ahead and do that, you consult the other side.
No. So I'm saying that the most important thing is to understand that a president has a tenure. Until his tenure ends, you know, he still is in power. It is good, it's fine to have some conventions which can be created or come up with to that.
Okay.
You get me? In America, I'll tell you what. In America, President Bush Jr. had a massive problem with pardons granted, I think, by President Clinton. And it became a standoff between the former president, you know, 1 day old, and the new President Bush said, I'm not recognizing the pardons. Okay. You get me? So, what happened? I mean, it was a standoff. And his father was a president. Do you remember President Bush Sr.? One question he asked, he said, son, this crisis you were having, who signed it? He said, the president. He said, in what capacity did he sign it? He said, it was President of America. He said,
so
let it go. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Is that what you're saying? Is that your stance on what the spirit of this transitional act was supposed to do?
You see, and I'm saying, the question you were asking masks a bigger issue of what are the powers of the president, the outgoing president, at any particular time after the election. And I'm saying that this is a subject of a totally different, write-up. That's not only.
No, I think that the entire transition difficulties we had was actually enveloped in this case. Do you know, the NPP side of this transition was very agitated by it. In fact, they threatened to cancel contracts when they come into power.
I'm saying that without saying, I don't want to run any side down. But I'm saying that if I were to do a public presentation, I would want to demonstrate that within the law itself, their position may not be right.
Oh, okay.
You see, I'm saying that if you look at the Act says that 1 month before, 4 weeks before the election, they must be handed over.
Yes.
Now, the law talks about handing over notes. That the notes, among other things, will indicate the record, you know, the transition notes received by the incumbent government from the past. It also includes records of current government operations, and it also includes the outstanding projects, contracts, appointments, and whatnot that are yet to be made. You understand?
So the particular case you're referencing, the NPP consistently said these were not in the handover notes. We only needed to be informed, but you didn't inform us.
If they were not in the handover notes, it's a weakness, I will admit.
You don't think it's an anomaly?
Yeah.
A weakness makes it look like something that can be glossed over.
Yeah.
Was it an anomaly?
I wouldn't accept it as regular if it wasn't there. You understand? But I'm saying that
did the government of President Mahama do wrong by not informing them?
No, I think that let's move the debate one notch higher.
No, I mean,
to the
I want you to make this particular point clear, so that people understand that this is how we're going forward. We should deal with it. Was the president, John Dramani Mahama's government, wrong when they made appointments, executed contracts without informing the incoming government, without, as agreed before, having to notify them in the handover notes?
Yeah, no. If the president or if the outgoing government fails to disclose ongoing contracts, ongoing appointments or structures, it's wrong. I mean, it's a weakness.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that, you see, there's a contention, for instance, about cars.
Yeah. It's just ongoing, right?
Yeah, it's really ongoing. I mean, so what is the role of the Administrator General? You know, the Office of the Administrator General. It only shows that ours, even though we've gone over the actual mechanics of handing over the process, is smooth and whatnot. And we are lauded all over the world. In Gambia, it's a wonderful thing. That's why they experience it. In Liberia, they're asking for this support and all that. But we will have to strengthen our transition mechanism to eliminate this. And that's why I cited the American example. I cited the American example.
That's interesting. Even they are reforming the process.
They are on a review, on an ongoing thing, amending the law. You have to. So we know cars and whatnot. So for the next time, immediately, for now, we should start saying, these are the weaknesses. People were, maybe escape through it. We make a new law.
I'll come back to that.
Yes.
We'll actually go for a short break. We'll return. We'll actually come back to this conversation. My guest is Nana Dadzie, former Chief of Staff, very competent transition expert. That's why our conversation started with transition. We'll come back. We'll continue that particular conversation here on Upfront. Welcome back to the Upfront on your JoyNews channel or Multi TV. The conversation is continuing here, right in the office of the distinguished lawyer, former Chief of Staff, perhaps Africa's only renowned transition expert, Nana Dadzie. Now you're welcome once again. Now, we're then heading off on the conversation as to whether or not we did our transition in the most appropriate way in the 2016 one, just ended one. Now, there's a question that bothers the minds of many. Maybe I'll take your experience before I ask you your answer to that question. When you were leaving office in 2000, did you take home a government vehicle?
No.
Did you buy a government vehicle?
Again, no, I didn't. But I'll tell you something. There was an understanding, an agreement between the two sides, you see, to permit the outgoing ministers and officials to purchase the vehicle, and some arrangements were made. It was one of the sore points against me. People said we undervalued it and all that. Let me quickly say
You didn't do that?
No, let me quickly tell you something. The problem we have in transition in this country and in most countries, and the ones we will be emerging in Africa, has been that there's a disconnect between the executive and then those below, the civil service structure and whatnot.
Okay.
Within the public service. Indeed, within the public service, whether funded by government or the civil service itself, there's no problem whatsoever. There's absolutely no problem about the conditions of service. The chief, director, goes home, he buys one car, they sell to him the car and all that. These are regulations which exist. But because at the executive level, there's been so much inconsistency. There's been, we don't have the legend, the experience, you see. I mean, the military rule that is coming in and out over the period has not made our democratic transformation that consistent. That level had not been, settled. You see, so for us, it wasn't a difficult situation. It's like, okay, we all do know that my chief director in my office, he retires with 3 months' salary. He goes, he has some leave allowance converted. He goes with one car. He chooses.
But in fairness, the chief director might have been there for decades. Impossible, a longer period. A politician has a fleeting time to stay in office. The only luck he gets is that if he gets to be at the time they are leaving office. So if he's there for 3 months, for example, subject to reshuffle anything.
You will have to deal with, look at records like Green Street Report and whatnot. Look, there are very solid reasons why you must, and I firmly believe it, that there are very good reasons why you must take care of your executive properly. Ministers, whatnot, appointees, you must take care of them.
Even when they're out of office?
You know why? No. I'm saying that otherwise, they themselves will prepare for the rainy day. You understand what that means?
But the fact that we've been taking care of them, that's not mean corruption has decreased. It doesn't mean that they've not been preparing for their own rainy day.
That is a reason. You see, if you take care of a public officer very well, you motivate him to resist temptation. The fact that the public officer,
the public officer should be minded that you are there to provide public service, not for self-aggrandizement. So it cannot be the case that if people fail to take care of you, then you have to steal and loot resources. That argument cannot hold.
No. I'm saying that you should draw a line between the public servant or public service official who is abusing the trust. Yeah. And then, look, there are many honest ministers, deputy ministers, appointees. I'm telling you, there are quite a number of them. Yeah. We tend to classify. A few may go overboard and whatnot. You understand? So we should be applauding. We should be, what do you call it? Just making sure that we tell that, encourage people.
So if I understand it properly,
yes,
you did not take a car home, but you are not opposed to those who took cars home just because they were ministers for a short period.
Yes, what I'm saying is that the rule was there. I mean, we were on the same, committee. Yeah. That political committee, assets and whatnot. And then now President Akufo-Addo was on the committee, or Safumafu, all of us, we were on that committee.
Yes, and there was an agreement.
It was agreed that a minister will be permitted, ministers will be permitted to buy one car, not a 4x4. Yeah. These are basic, because we took into account the system. You have to build a system. Until and unless we are able to develop our public system, wage and salary and the monument arrangement, tidily, we will always have this problem.
Okay, now let me understand this part of it too. Yes. So, how about bungalows?
About what?
Who buy it?
Who buy it?
Yeah.
Buying the vehicle?
Buying the bungalow, not the vehicle.
Oh, the bungalows. Really, during our tenure, we didn't encourage people to buy.
Any of your colleagues buy?
I know. I don't want to cite examples, but I know of Professor Kwabena Boateng. Boateng? Yeah, my good friend, schoolmate. Yeah. Okay. I think he's a minister for environment, for instance. Yeah. I mean, he made a request to buy his property. It was declined at the time.
Oh, okay.
There were others, Anobil, because some of them had lived there. I mean, Dr. Boateng had sacrificed everything to come and work in Ghana at the time. You understand? As a young man,
I think that would be justification.
I'm just giving you, and he was alone. But it was our policy not to sell houses to, and I don't think that
at what point did this policy change?
I'm saying that we in PNDC we didn't sell. I don't know.
Because Jacob Echeverlamte bought his bungalow.
I mean,
it became a subject of a Supreme Court decision.
Well, I was against it.
You were against it?
Indeed, I was one of those who I was solicitor for Omani Boama.
Oh, okay.
Sabakuja at the time. I started that action, because it was contrary to our principles and whatnot. I didn't think that there were enough bungalows to go around. But the Supreme Court had other views. You understand? So I'm not going to go there. But I'm saying that our government at least did not, encourage the what do you call it?
So did you
Mr. Rawlings, I'll tell you something.
Did you oppose it when former President Rawlings stayed in his residence, the Ridge residence?
You see, I'm saying that, no, I didn't. You see, I'm saying that...
But what's the difference then?
No.
Actually, he's bought the land currently. No. He's bought it for what many consider to be peanuts. Are you aware?
Mr. Rawlings?
Yes, he's bought the land where he is today. Adjoining properties too, he has bought it.
Well, I'm not aware, but I'm saying I don't know about
and the report is there from the Land Commission.
I say these are matters which you have to be. I would like to have examined or investigated. There's so many stories out there.
No, that is without doubt. It's a factual thing. He's not denying that.
Well, I'm a lawyer. I want to see evidence. You can't stop me.
But you know the evidence.
But I don't want to trivialize it or try to avoid it. I'm saying we are talking about the house
I'm just saying that
to him.
If Rawlings leaving office in 2000 had the principle that we shouldn't take bungalows, Why would he, months and years after, be interested in buying the land and adjoining lands, close to 4 acres?
What? No. I don't think this question is fair. I'm talking about our tenure. I'm talking about the principles which operate at the time. A head of state, you see, a head of state has so many opportunities to abuse trust. You must understand it, and that's what I'm talking about.
Did he abuse trust now?
No, I'm saying.
Oh,
that,
okay, I get your point.
No, I'm saying that you will have to insulate some of these persons. You know, we do a 4-year tenure as a minister or as an appointee, and those 4 years, you can be fired at any time. You will lose all. Look, Mr. Kenneth Forata leaves all his job to come and do this. It's a cost. Tillerson in America, he's a head of the you see, it's a great cost. I was a lawyer,
but nobody begs anybody to go into public service. Are we not clear in our minds on that? Well, what they do is that they offer themselves of public service. So it is not the case that the state has to now come and ingratiate itself to you, bend over backwards, and create the impression that you did extraordinary service. So you ought to be properly appreciated that way.
No, I keep saying that you should avoid going overboard. For those who abuse it,
okay,
it's a different story. But what I'm saying that we must have a standard, a minimum level of, I don't know whether you go comfort or whatever it is.
Did you support former President Mahama's call that all of those on Article 71 specialized, categorized grouping should be put back on the general salary structure, the single spine?
Well, you know, well, I did indicate.
Did you support that?
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, but I did indicate.
You don't support it?
Yeah, no, I'm saying that I did indicate to you that for me, I think that, like from Green Street of 2000, we must streamline. We must streamline the wage and salary emolument thing. You know, we must streamline from the messenger right down to the head of state. You get
okay.
me?
So but would you be having to put them on the same salary structure?
Oh, yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's why. I think so. I think so. You see,
okay.
Let me tell you something. If I am what do you call it, the equivalent of a principal's secretary, say, or executive officer in the civil service, and then we go to the Bank of Ghana or SNET or GRE, they are paying them 6 times. What, you know, we are all in the public service, are being paid. What do you think? There will be an attrition.
But is that not why the single spine salary structure was?
Yeah, but I'm saying that, yes, exactly.
To streamline the salaries.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Actually, way back, in the book I'm trying to write, way back in the 80s, we had that kind of challenge. A lot of our, you know, hard-working civil servants left the country to go and join World Bank and UN and other organizations.
Doctors,
and then they come, and then they are posted back.
Doctors actually are leaving the countries for greener pastures.
And they are posted back into Ghana as consultants, earning maybe 6 times what they were earning before, and bossing it over their bosses they left behind.
Is that still the case
today? You understand? Dr. T. Boatin, you know, because the government statistician, Mrs. Teresa. He used to be the deputy minister for finance. They were all complaining. It's all right. So we must have a structure that will enable, no matter where you are, the position you hold, you have what you term the equivalences, you know, of comparable payments.
Yes, that's interesting to note. I mean, I want us to move into other conversations that are pretty much interesting about this state, Ghana. Yeah. And of course, I will not leave out the fact that today happens to be the birthday of one person you've worked very close with. And were you there when Echo and Kansaka was being assaulted?
No, I was in the U.S. Medicaid grant. I was in U.S. at the time, but
were you chief of staff then?
No, of course I had a lot of what had happened.
What was the relationship between he and the president when he was supposed to be candidate, running mate for an opposition president?
Oh, clearly, it was unacceptable to us, not only to President Rawlings at the time.
Was that acceptable to you that he was being assaulted?
But we were, here we were. I mean, we were maintaining, for instance, cabinet, you know, notes, you know, records. And after cabinet, you know, the very afternoon or the next day, everything we go into in cabinet is out in the Chronicle.
And he's the only person you could suspect?
Oh, you were saying that. I mean, there's no doubt. Well, I don't think we have to. I have to
You are
complain.
a lawyer. You sure?
I'm saying that
you complain?
I'm saying that I had to complain several times in cabinet because people were asking about, so who is leaking, this? And, I mean, they look at us, who are the keepers of the books. I said that this cannot, it's not acceptable.
And it was justified that he was assaulted?
I've said that he was assaulted. I don't know that.
Oh, but he made a complaint at the Cantonment's police station against the sitting president that he assaulted him. Now you surely will know this.
Where is proof?
But that's a proof he submitted to the, what they call it, the police station.
Which was?
The bruises he showed.
I'm saying that this is a democratic.
Yes, but in a democracy,
country,
assaults are not acceptable.
And then we go according to the rule of law,
Yes.
I mean, if probably he should have pressed it, we've gone through it, evidence would have been led, then we can all say yes. Because there was a total denial from the other side.
Could the president of the state be dragged before court on this matter?
Well, I don't think so.
Yes.
But, yeah.
So this process you are naming could really not have happened.
No, I'm saying that as far as I'm concerned, I don't see why you are pressing this point, because particularly when you are relying on the evidence of one side, I mean,
was it disputed? Was it disputed?
No.
Was
Yes,
it disputed?
Of course, it was disputed.
The president said he didn't.
Yes, I thought that the formal statement that I read was disputed. And you see, for me, I find it very difficult to follow your argument because of the, the legal maxim of all the alteram partem.
Yes.
You must hear the other side. So I can't.
Okay, so but you told me the other side in this particular case, but I want to be clear.
Did you hear the other side?
I never heard the other side.
How do you come to judgment?
No, I'm only saying that he said he was being assaulted. He was reported to a police station. The president couldn't have been hauled before the police to do this investigation.
I'm
so
saying
clearly that issue was not going to go.
Would it be the first time you've heard somebody make a claim that has been denied?
It was the first time I heard the vice president of the Republic of Ghana say he was being assaulted by the sitting president.
Well, I'm saying that, but that's not conclusive.
Okay, I get your point. Yes, but
you get me?
Yeah.
All the alteram partem. But I'm saying that I think that maybe we are taking too much on that, But really, the point I'm making in this is that yes, there was some scandal as to a vice president having been assaulted by a president. The formal official statement that came out was a denial. They say there's some kind of scuffle or something, but it didn't happen.
Okay.
I
get you.
He was not assaulted. And they said that, look at the size of Mr. Rawlings.
There's a question, though, that's on the minds of many.
Yeah.
How did they finally come out that you were able to insulate cabinet memos from being leaked?
Oh, well, we did everything, but, subsequently, he himself, I think, backed out from cabinet
meetings.
This is what we call there's a political theory of when a vice president belongs to a different party and all that. It's a really difficult inconvenience, and as much as possible you try to bridge it, but it is a political challenge, particularly when
you don't think it's like it happen again?
I want to be the presidential candidate or running mate in the opposition.
Is it likely to ever happen again?
On grounds of principle, I'll stick my neck out. On grounds of principle, he should have resigned.
Oh, okay. That's interesting to know.
Yeah.
But principle did not really state the constitutional
Well,
position.
I don't know, but I'm saying that where the two of us agree to go in a certain path, and I have a challenge,
like the way a member of parliament has to resign when he changes political party.
Well, yes.
Okay.
But I don't even want. But this one is a little more serious. I want to go and be the leader. In some other countries in Africa, other things will happen.
There are people who fail to reconcile a position that you've had. In the popular case against Kweku Bako and Haruna Atta on contempt,
yes,
you sang the Alleluia for them to be jailed. In the alternative case of Raymond Atuguba and 3 others who said the Supreme Court or judges in this country were corrupt, you insisted that, they could not just be denied hearing because of this commentary. In the popular Muntie case, you had said that you have moved from a certain Saul to Paul on this matter. Is it the case that when it comes to NDC members, you are for freedom of speech and limitations on contempt? And when it comes to those who are not in the NDC, your voice changes on this matter?
Yes, it is unfortunate that that Joy program, you know,
news file,
the news file, the discussion which cropped out tangentially, you know, I thought it was some fun by my good friend Koku Bako when he said, "Oh, you were in charge of what do you call it? Those who
calling for them to
say crucify him." And then Egbert Fable came out. You point out one case in which, you know, you've defended a journalist or whatnot. I just ignored it. You know, I didn't think. We moved on. But let me tell you, I'm basically a lawyer. I will tell you, we came out in 1975. The Chief Justice indicated, you know, and Anado and all of the same year. Our obligation is to serve without fear or favor, affection or ill will. Do you know the editor of Searchlight?
Yes, the Daily Searchlight. Ken Crunchy.
Ken Crunchy should be the one to be here to respond to your question. Ken Crunchy, I had to pull Ken Crunchy out of, you know, jail, literally. He came, you know, he came just prostrate in my office. I said, "Get up." What was it? He crossed the lines with the High Court judge. The High Court judge had said, you will have to go into prison.
Okay.
I had to, no, just a minute.
Oh, okay.
I had to make an intervention and to sort out. You see, but why did Mr. Krankwanchi prostrate in my office? It was a very simple matter. When we did the transition, this was must have been 2006, but when we did the transition in 2001, Ken Crunchy carried my picture, whole front page. This man is a thief for paying end of service benefits to Rawlings. And my picture, my wife came panting, raising. So what is this? What is it? I took a legal action against Ken Crunchy. 2 years down the line, I thought I should just drop it.
Okay.
I dropped it. 2 years later, Ken Crunchy had run into trouble with some other person about the same libel. And people said, "Go and see Nana Atunazi to put in a defense for you."
Yeah.
That's what I did. That's why when he came, he knew what had happened previously. Prostrate there. I'm ready to pour it all out to you. You see, so when people say you've never defended any journalist and whatnot, I say for some of us, it is not our make to go out telling the world what you've done, what not. But unfortunately, that side of the story is out there.
But this issue, was it true that you were being cited by the Kufuor administration for some wrongdoing and your name was dropped on the list? Were you ever told?
No. I don't know about. But I don't know what you're talking about. I was one of the 5 or so 6 people who were actually tried in the Aveyime, rice project. Incidentally, I ended up as chairman of the board. Now, in the process of resettlement,
the popular cotton case,
the resettlement of the people, the payments had to be made. Of course, chief of staff, it came through our office. Mr. Osengame had to deal with them. I had nothing to do. I said, get pictures. Let each person also have a thumbprint. They thought it was cumbersome. At the end of the day, there was a balance of over 3 million in the account. Nobody could access because you couldn't come with your thumbprint or your picture. I was acquitted.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. Now, the 3 of my colleagues also were convicted. You get me? I have my own feeling, understanding about that case. You get me?
The causing financial loss thing.
Yeah, the causing financial loss, people are saying in government. Yeah. It's a very difficult law. It's a very difficult law. And I think that we, at all matters, we should look at the law again.
Okay.
Because
it should be reviewed.
It should be reviewed. Because
but it's rather willfully causing financial loss. Willfully. There must be an intent to act. There must be a deliberate action on the side of the person doing so.
No, some section of the law will just willful. Willful does not mean that you deliberately, intentionally did it. Under the interpretation given, you understand? So, well, others are also in government, so
we can't see whether it will be applicable someday.
Actually, the danger there, I'll tell you, is that it stultifies the efforts of people to take initiative.
Okay.
You go to a bank, commercial bank, nobody wants to grab the loan or whatnot. They sit back. The managers, you go to establishment, because you can take a decision and it may end up causing financial loss to the state. You know? So I don't want to turn this interview to personal, you know.
Certainly, but I will
you have
take a brief break. When I come back from this particular break, we'll be concluding our conversation on this country. Much of the work is done in transition too.
Lily Rice's quality long
on many things that this country is about, and perhaps his experience in this country too. And now we'll be concluding our conversation. Yes. There are quick things that I needed to clarify. Earlier today, I heard you say John Mahama is the best bet if the NDC want to win 2020. How are you convinced he is?
Well, the brief response is that as a country, even from NPP perspective, they say he did very well in the infrastructure development. But people are saying, look, he did a wonderful job. The challenge is that he paid little attention to the human development. You understand?
Okay.
So what I said this morning was that, for me, I think he's the best bet, provided he would have learned his lesson.
But how do you know he has learned lessons?
Well, he will have to agitate among his people and the populace, and also come out with credible, you know, positions. That would say, if I come this time around, this is what I would do. So come out with convincing arguments to show that, look, yes, as for building infrastructure, that one you all know I will do it.
Was it the reason why the NDC lost the election?
Well, I know Dr. Boche has submitted his report. I didn't have
that part you've not told us.
No.
But to your mind, not the report's content, to your mind, was it the reason why the NDC lost the election?
I have no hesitation whatsoever. I said this, I don't know whether you recollect, the election night, you know, when the results were coming in, you know, that probably we could have done a lot more on the human development. You understand?
Okay.
Yeah, because really,
but is this singularly John Mahama's problem or NDC's problem?
Oh, you are the leader, so you take that responsibility.
Okay, that's interesting.
You see, because if you have nurses complaining, teachers complaining, whatnot, you have to do some evaluation.
Is this something he can fix before 2020?
You mean in what?
I'm saying the main reason why the NDC lost the election, is this something that with John Mahama in the driving seat, they can fix before 2020?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm saying that, you know, in politics, you preserve what you have, and you build on it. You understand? So if it's infrastructure, yes, there are people who are living who can testify, who know this is what he did, this is what he did, this is what that. But then the people are saying that you don't probably listen to us that more, you know, as individuals, as persons.
But not because he was corrupt.
You know, I wouldn't say necessarily the issue of corruption.
But there was a lot of corruption scandals in this country.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that was the major factor.
Did he appoint the right people into the right positions?
Well, in his eyes, yes.
In your eyes, Nana Dadzie.
Well, I think, no, you haven't been fair to me. But I think that really, no, that was said, how can I run away from it? I would say that a head of state has the opportunity of choosing the people he works with.
Yeah.
You understand?
So,
and it's easier to sack a person than to appoint.
Forgive me,
somebody.
I asked that question, but if you could answer directly.
Yeah.
Did he appoint the right people?
Largely, yes. Largely, yes. You see,
did the people fail him?
I would say yes. But you see, I wouldn't also allow him to run away from that.
Were they corrupt?
No, not necessarily.
Did they
corrupt.
fail to deliver?
Well, I would say yes.
Okay, now I want to also come to this point. There is a question, there's something very outstanding about what the Kwesi report said. Yeah. Is that the NDC crowded out intellectuals? Do you think it's true?
The crowded out is what?
Crowded, as in prevented intellectuals from making contributions to the party's campaign and subsequent elections?
Well, that he went around the country.
Yeah.
This is a conclusion.
But do you agree to that conclusion?
I would say no. I wouldn't. I think it would not be fair for me to sit here without any scientific proof.
Do you think that the NDC lacks intellectuals?
No, not in the least.
Really?
Not in the least. Indeed,
but in fact, the history of the party has been deemed to be one that has very little communication with the intelligentsia in this country.
Look. NDC has a wealth of intellectuals from the past to the present, very deep, educated and learned, not just academics, intellectuals.
Okay.
You understand?
You distinguish the two.
How to put them together
has been the problem.
Probably being the problem. You understand?
Is it because there are some people, especially people consider themselves cadres, they actually oppose this grouping? Remember that there was some time ago, there was this friction between those who are deemed to be intellectuals and those who are deemed to be cadres in the party.
Yes, I'm saying that as a leader, you must find a way of agitating and letting people understand what's... Look, this morning I did indicate that one of the greatest things that Mr. Jerry Rawlings did was to be able to assemble a team of very qualified experts, who delivered.
Does he want to do the same now? Does he want to take back the NDC, reform it?
Mr. Rawlings?
Yes.